Right. And hello. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Catching Up with Kate podcast. Um so here we are today on this beautiful Monday. It's probably going to be Sunday for you. Maybe, I don't know. Um oh, okay. I have been mentally preparing myself for this for ages. Um Sometimes it's hard coming up with like what I want to talk about exactly because there's just so much to talk about. And, I talk about a lot of things. And a lot of the time I say things and I don't remember what I'm saying. So, um, I have some topics already planned out. And instead of doing the pen and paper out, I'm doing my laptop, which we know from last time. I got very sidetracked with my laptop in that I kept fidgeting with it. So I'm promising I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be more present, okay? I'm going to be present. I'm going to be here. We're going to get through these topics because I think they're going to be very fun. And without further ado, much ado about nothing. Romeo and Juliet. That is, oh my god, that's something we're going to be talking about. Secondly, celebrity culture is dying, yo. Do not fly on planes right now if you can avoid it. If you don't know, in the news, another Boeing plane has had to do an emergency landing because parts of the engine came off or something. Allegedly, I don't know. Fuck. Um, I got hacked on DoorDash. DoorDash security is a flop, in my opinion. And then the last one I put down, it was kind of like a last minute edition called Sydney Sweeney's Assets. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm seeing it's a very weird mix of like celebrity culture and actual problems. Actually, I think the celebrity culture is like a reflection of a lot of real problems, but we'll work our way up to it, you know? Okay, so Romeo and Juliet. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Catherine, I haven't thought about Romeo and Juliet since I was like 13, 14, maybe even 15. I think for me it was like 15. Because when you're at that age, that young age of being like in high school, you're doing all the readings, you're doing English. I guess you're doing English. It depends on where you live, I suppose. But in most like Western countries, I assume, Australia, America, we learn about Romeo and Juliet and all the fucking Shakespeare shit when we're in high school. And Romeo and Juliet is usually a required reading. A lot of Shakespeare stuff is required reading, so yeah. Anyway, and you may know that there have been a lot of famous movies about Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is originally a play by Mr. Shakespeare. I think he's British or something. I don't really remember much. um, yeah, and so Romeo and Juliet is in the news at the moment because Tom Holland and I forget what the other person's name is. Tom Holland and this woman are going to be playing Romeo and Juliet, right? And you might think, oh, well, it's not a big deal, right? Well, apparently it is a big deal because um, I don't know how to say this. It's become a racial thing. Yeah, let's say that it's become a very blatant racism thing, and it's like I don't know. You look at it and you think like, how did something like this turn into that? Well, it's gonna be depicting, I guess, like a interracial relationship, and we all know what. I'm assuming we all know what Tom Holland looks like, so everyone's making fun of the girl who's playing Juliet because she's not like attractive enough to be Juliet, and oh my god. And then some people were joking that Tom was gonna play Juliet and then she was gonna be Romeo or something, which is just so dumb. Ugh. And yeah, so as you can imagine, a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, we need someone hotter to play Juliet." Guys, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a majority of the people who are like complaining about Juliet's looks are way too old to even care about this. I'm too old to care about this. I have not thought about Romeo and Juliet for a good 8 years. and I'm not about to start giving a shit about it now. Ugh. And I think it's like Juliet, isn't she supposed to be like 14 in the movie? Oh, not the movie, but the play. Isn't Romeo and Juliet, they're both young people. So I don't know why everyone needs to be like attracted to these people, but apparently we're, I don't know, doing something about that. So that's weird. That is a very weird thing that's going on right now. And I did briefly look up the girl who's playing Juliet. She's won some like awards, and she was on Bad Education. So if you've seen Bad Education, you might know her. And I think her name's Rebecca. I think. Oh, I'm probably getting that super super wrong. I'm so sorry, girl. I completely blanked on this. I was looking at her IMDb before this, and then it's all gone out of my head. But we all know Tom Holland, right? Yeah, Tom Holland. It's an interesting thing with Tom Holland because like he did the Spider-Man things, and then his career has kind of gone a little bit. I don't know. A lot of people would say it's gone a little bit south. Not sure about that. I don't know. I think maybe. Oh, you know what a lot of people do say is that like once you do like a superhero movie, then stuff kind of goes wrong for your career because then everyone just sees you as like that superhero. Not gonna lie, I do kind of see Tom Holland as like that Spider-Man dude. It's hard. Like even like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. Has Andrew Garfield been in anything since that? And that was like so many years ago. So I don't know. I feel like superhero movies are a curse, blessing and a curse. So I don't know. Maybe this Romeo and Juliet movie is a way for Tom to do something a little more. I don't know. Do something a little more. You know what? Let's leave it at that. And you know, God bless him. I was thinking, do we really need another fucking adaptation for Romeo and Juliet? Do we need it? But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I've seen 3 different Romeo and Juliet movies, I think. Shit, have I? I'm trying to think of like the one. I hope I'm not like mixing up Leonardo DiCaprio's one. Oh, it might be. Maybe it's just 2 then. I don't know. But I have seen the one with the girl who was topless. I have seen that one. We actually watched it in high school. And the teacher was like, "Oh, I can't show this scene because she's topless." And then everyone, of course, was like, "Show it, show it, show it." So then we got to watch that. Yeah, yay. Not really. It was a bit weird actually because she was underage in that movie. So it's a bit of a weird one. Yeah, so I have not really cared about this for a very long time, and I still don't. But I think it is kind of just screwed up that people are like, "Oh, she has to be hot. They're changing how hot." It's like, who cares? I really don't care, honestly. And it's the same with Tangled, Rapunzel. Apparently, like I think an Indian woman is gonna be playing Rapunzel, and she looks great. I think she looks awesome, and I don't know. I don't really care. Again, I don't care. I think that I think it's nice to see different representation of these things, you know? I think it's nice because I mean, I see white people playing these characters all the time. So I don't know what it's like to not see yourself on screen or to have people who are like, "Oh yeah, I know oh my god, Rapunzel." Like when I was in high school, I loved Rapunzel. I had a Tumblr page that was all fully Rapunzel pilled because I had like really long hair and my family would call me Rapunzel. So I was deep in the source with it. But I think it's nice. I think it's nice to have someone different playing the character, and I think it's nice to give that representation to other people because we already have our representation, yo. And people were saying like, "Oh, she doesn't even look like Rapunzel." It's like, dude, nobody looks like fucking Rapunzel from Tangled because she's a fucking 2D. No, she's a 3D animated character. No one looks like that. Okay, ugh. It's just so exhausting sometimes. People are so exhausting. I don't know. I really don't know about that. So, we're having a lot of problems like that where people are like, oh, this person shouldn't play them. Or people like pretend like they're not being racist. They go, oh, I don't mind the person. It's just, they just don't fit the character. And it's like, well, why don't they fit the character? Have you seen the thing that they're doing? Or have you just seen the way they look and decided, oh, the way they look is not right? You know? So I'm all for a good performance over looks. And I don't even say that in a way where I'm like, oh, they don't look good enough, because they do. They look better than I ever will. So, I mean, who am I to judge, right? I don't think we should be judging these things based purely on like looks and aesthetics. I think these people can probably just do the job really well just based on, you know, how talented they are. Now, I haven't seen what these people have done. I also don't really care. I haven't seen anything else Tom Holland has done, and I don't go, oh wow, Tom Holland, it's going to be fucking amazing because Tom Holland's in it. I really couldn't give a fuck. It's the same with the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet. I remember watching it and being like, yeah, it's a nice way to like bridge the gap between Shakespeare and like the current generation. And yeah, so I was thinking, do we really need another retelling of this? Do we need to redo it again? And I was thinking, you know, I feel like every generation has had their own Romeo and Juliet movie, you know? So I think in some ways it actually does kind of make sense that we'd redo it because, you know, there's probably gonna be new generations coming, so we want to do a movie for that generation to reflect maybe society today. I don't know. I don't know if that has been the intention of the directors and stuff, but it certainly seems like that's the direction we've gone in. And I think it's really important that we have like the youth interested in like Shakespeare, the humanities, English. I think it's important. I think that they're really cool things to know about, and there is so much media references these things because it's just such a universal knowledge because it's taught in all the Western schools. Sorry to the non-Western schools or countries because I don't know if Shakespeare is taught in like, you know, South Korea and stuff. I don't know what's taught there at all, so I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But in Western media, like Hollywood, so much of Hollywood just references Shakespeare because it's just something everyone has to learn. It's kind of crazy how that happens, huh? It's like, who decided that Shakespeare was a necessary part of the curriculum? Like, I'm not complaining. I think it was a good way to teach about like writing narratives, they're interesting stories, which you don't always get when it comes to uh, designated readings. Oh man, I can think of so many times when we had designated readings or like things we had to read for school, and they were just so bad. They were always so preachy. Like, I guess my teachers were pretty like left, you know. So all the I'm not saying we should have read more conservative stuff, but I'm just saying that some of the books were very like over the top. I just wasn't interested in it at the time, and I think it would have been nice to have like a designated reading that wasn't just so political, because then I look at the books that my older brother got to read it when at school, and I read some of the designated readings he had when I was younger. I loved those books. Those books that he got to read were fire, dude. I'm pretty sure he's part of the generation that got to um read Harry Potter as like a designated reading, which I know we're on the outs with Harry Potter at the moment, but it'd be nice to read that in school instead of like, here's a book about all the a dude with colon cancer who's looking for his daughter because he's a shit father. And then he sometimes reminisces about his sexy ex girlfriend who he had a one night stand with. That's all I remember from that book. It was like a book of like short stories, and they were all fucking depressing and just, oh my god, I hated it. I hated it. Everyone hated it, actually. Even everyone. It was not a good book. And then here is the generation older than me getting to read really fun books. uh, yeah, so yay for designated readings, right? I won't be watching the Romeo and Juliet movie anyway, so I guess I have no dogs in this fight, but that's because I've done my time. I've gone to see Romeo and Juliet theatre. I've read the fucking play over and over again. It's it. That's it. That's it for me. I don't really care to consume any more R&J media. I'm done. Alright, so the next thing we have is celebrity culture is dying. Which is like a very whoa, dude kind of topic. Like, yeah. I was just thinking about it because I've been reading up about. Okay, this is gonna be really bad optics for me because I'm about to hit like two fandoms that are very mean, very mean fandoms. Nicki Minaj and Beyonce. Okay, I will say this: I can appreciate where Beyonce is coming from with her latest album. I read a bit about it. I did some research. It seems like a nice personal thing that is like her thing, and I can appreciate that. I really can. I just think that there are some weird allegations about Jay-Z, and I think now with like the whole P. Diddy stuff happening, we're looking at celebrities in a very different way these days. It's like you give them like the side eye and you're like, what have you done? There's like all these people around you have been doing this stuff for Lord knows how long. What have you done? Because the odds these days are that they've done something. They've done something really bad, probably. Anyway, I'm not saying Beyonce's done anything. I just think that Beyonce's probably fine, probably. But I just think with every like celebrity these days, it's like you can't. There's no trust anymore with all the stuff that's been happening and going on. It's just getting worse and worse, and it's interesting because it almost feels like the celebrity thing is like crumbling in from the inside. Like there's no trust among them anymore. There's no like I don't know what the word is. Like there's no rapport anymore. It's like they're all trying to make sure that they don't get screwed over in the end. Yeah, it feels like some weird thing is happening on the inside. Maybe. And then like the Sacha Baron Cohen stuff that Rebel Wilson said. Oh my god. Also, yay, Australians. Yay, Australia. We're finally in the media. um, yeah, some really horrible things have been alleged about Mr. Mr. Sacha Baron Cohen. And I just think that, wow, dude, he has been put on a pedestal for so long. Nobody thought he could do any wrong. And now this stuff is coming out about it. It's like, whoa. And now he's getting a divorce? I feel like the divorce just like kind of seals the deal for me personally. For me personally, it's ugh. You know? There's no the fact that like, there's no one really standing by him and saying he would never do that, he would blah blah blah. If you don't know about the allegations, apparently, Rebel Wilson was like I think taken to a room when she was working on a film with him or something. I really can't remember too well, but she was taken to a room where he was in. He asked her to do some acts on him to support him, and there were a bunch of guys trying to film it or something, and she said no, and then she uh, yeah. And then I think she tried to tell other people, and then other people were just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever about it. And then there's Russell Brand, things about him. Oh my god, the Russell Brand stuff was so whack. I don't think I can speak on it because it happened. I feel like it happened so long ago in like internet speak. It probably happened like a couple months ago, but so I can't speak on that thing, but that thing was wild. If you want to look at something very odd and strange, I think Russell Brand is like a really strange one. Really weird. And it's just like so many people these days. So there is no trust. There is no, I don't know. It's like I think people are caring less and less about celebrity and just the whole vibe. And then on top of that, I feel like Billie Eilish has a bit of like a I don't know, a superiority thing about this. There have been a lot of things where she said things like, "Oh, I don't understand why uh influencers come to the same thing that like Hollywood elite go to." And I just think that's kind of dumb. I Here's what I think. I think that when influencers get invited to things like the Met Gala, remember when James Charles went to the Met Gala? I think the moment you get invited to something as big as that, you're no longer just an influencer. Like, you're there for a reason. You're there because you have reach and influence. And I think that as ridiculous as it is having James Charles at the Met Gala, um, he's there for a reason. I don't like him. I don't like him one bit, but he was at the time a icon, hardworking, I think. And yeah, he was doing it. He was the person of the moment or whatever. So for him to be there around all those elites, I feel like it makes the like elite people, the celebrities more insecure because it really is like, oh, you're replaceable now. Like, and it's a lot more accessible than it used to be. And I think that's scary for them. And I think that it's annoying actually because then you get celebrities on the platforms where all the influencers are, and you never hear influencers being like, "Oh, what? Billie Eilish can like post like a 2 second video. Grimes can post like a 2 second video of their song, and then they get millions of likes and views." No one's complaining about the fucking celebrities being on social media. I mean, let's be honest. Most celebrities on social media, it's so manufactured and lame. I don't think they understand how to use like social media to their power. You know, I think influencers, they are very candid, they're very usually very open. I think that at one point you always get to a point in your career where it starts to be more manufactured, and people know that, people see that. But I think with celebrities, it's like celebrities never start off in social media being open, honest, or relatable. They always start off in social media being like, "Hey guys, um, this is me. I just got a TikTok. So I don't know how to do this thing, but leave a like and follow me, and you'll see more of me doing really crazy things." It's like, okay, whatever. Uh, Hold on, I'm gonna get a drink of water. Okay. And by the way, I don't see a problem with there being a more accessible way to become like famous or whatever, or like become a celebrity. And I think that celebrities are just kind of butthurt over it because like now it's not just like, oh, you were born into this family. It's actually like, oh, anyone who's just like legitimately talented or entertaining can now become famous or become an icon, if you will. You don't have to be born into wealth. You don't have to be born into anything. I mean, I think Bella Porch is like a really cool example of someone who was growing up in a really hard life, nothing to her name, impoverished parents. I think she was, oh, I can't remember if she was adopted, but Bella Porch's story is really sad, or at least like her youth growing up. She was treated as like a slave. She did all this manual labor on like a farm, and they'd call her like the B word a lot. The people who were her parents, I think they were her adoptive parents. Now that I'm thinking about it, and there's so many wrong things that happened to her as a child, that so much abuse that she endured, and I think she went to the army to get away from it, and then she found herself really depressed in the army and like suicidal even. And then TikTok kind of like saved her in a way. Like she started experimenting with makeup, she started doing the videos, and she just blew up. And then she could leave the army, and she had like a career, and she's able to do like the thing that she loves, which something that she's always loved since she was a kid, as she's told her story, is that she loves to sing and she loves to make music, and she even like won awards as a child, because like I think there was times when there was like a competition and she'd like secretly enter and she'd like do them and stuff. Man. So I have a soft spot for Bella Porch. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, she's not talented, blah, 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 but you don't get famous because you're like necessarily talented. You know, there are so many people in the world who are endlessly talented, who are incredible at what they do, and they don't get recognition, they don't get fame because of it. You get fame because something you do appeals to people, right? Something about you is magnetic, wonderful, I suppose. And some people just have it, I guess. And I don't know. I mean, I think some people have it, and then a lot of people just don't care about it. And I think the people who have it are the ones who care about it. I don't know. That feels like kind of like a complicated thing to say, but I don't know. Anytime I see these things, sorry, my eyelashes are like screwing with my eyes. I don't know. I just think that it's nice to see regular people becoming famous, because so much of like Hollywood and celebrity culture is people who made it because of their family. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who made it because they worked really hard and then they were really skilled. A lot of people, but anyway, that's beside the point, I think. So yeah, that's what I think about the whole celebrity culture stuff. And man, I think we're living in such like a weird time of like society. I think every generation feels that way, but I think there's things happening that just have never happened before. Like I think the elite culture has been around for so long, and I think it's made its peak. It made its peak in like the friggin' 2010s, I think. And now it feels like it's on a downtrend. I think we're seeing something like that, like a downtrend of that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I think people are feeling a lot more choosy about what people they idolize. I don't think we should really idolize people at all, but it makes sense to want to have a role model, to have like someone who you stan, someone who you look up to. And there's no denying that these people have a lot of power to inspire, create, and help causes. And I think they have their own role to play in society. I do. It's just changed in a lot of ways, and I think people need to embrace it and stop being like, why influencers at this thing that I'm at? Because I got here because I deserve it. It's like, okay, well, if they're there, then they deserve to be there too. That's what I fucking hate about it. I hate the mentality of like, I'm here because I deserve it, and they're here because they're just what? Why are they here? If they don't deserve to be here at the Met Gala, oh my god, wow, the Met Gala's really changed, hasn't it? My house, oh my god. If they're there, they deserve to be there. It's like what is going on? And you know how I was saying about Nicki Minaj before? Dude, I used to be such a Nicki Minaj lover. You don't understand. You don't understand. I love some of her songs so much. Ugh. I never like watch the concerts or like the interviews. I don't understand how people can like watch interviews of like actors, you know, when they're doing like the rounds, trying to interview for like to promote their latest like movie or whatever. I never understood that. I know people who would be so obsessed with like musicians and they'd just watch interview after interview, and I never understood it personally. I guess I've just like never been that obsessed with any one person before. I've never made, I guess it's because for me it was always men who are not real. 2D men. 2D men. Yeah. That's my problem. People are obsessed with like real guys, I'm obsessed with like not real guys. That sounds healthy actually. I love that. I love that for me. That's based and healthy. Hey, at least the fake guys that I like won't one day come out with allegations about being like a predator. That's nice. That feels good. But I've noticed that I don't get as obsessed with things as I used to. I used to be like reading fan fiction. I'd have my favorite anime dude as my phone wallpaper, as we will find out when I do the iPhone reveal. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. So, I found my old iPhone. I've been charging it. It's taking forever to charge though. It's like ridiculous. I don't know. I guess it hasn't been charged in years, but yeah, it's bad. And I had a brief look in it and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be such a great video. I'm gonna show my old iPhone, and if I can find my iPod as well, that would be fantastic because I would love to show my iPod. I think I've got some funny games on there probably. I've probably got some funny games. So yeah, that's it's gonna be super embarrassing, but it seems like it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's a lot of logistics to it though, so I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the video. Um, just because I don't know if I can do screen recordings on my iPhone. I mean, you probably should be able to, right? It's just a matter of figuring it all out. And oh yeah, I even have a photo gallery that's locked by a passcode, and I don't know what it is. So I'm gonna be doing some hacking to figure that out. Oh my god, speaking of hacking, I got hacked. My DoorDash account got hacked on the weekend. um, okay, let me set the scene. It's Saturday morning. I wake up at 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, my sleeping schedule's finally fixed. I love that. And so I get up, I'm on my computer, I'm having my cup of coffee. I'm just going, drinking my coffee. I'm probably playing Sons of the Forest. No, I was playing League actually. I was playing League of Legends at the time. I was in an ARAM game. And guess what happened? I was doing so well. We won the game actually. But in the middle of the game, I get this message, this 2 emails on my phone. I look at my phone and it says, DoorDash, your account is secure. And I saw that and I was like, huh? Oh, is it now? So then I go into my email on my desktop. I have two monitors. So one monitor, I'm trying to play Akali on League of Legends, and then on my other monitor, I'm trying to check my emails and be like, what the fuck is going on? Because why would you be sending me an email being like, your account's secure, it's fine? Spoiler, it was not fine. DoorDash, your security is a flop. Your security sucks. Now, I have no clue how someone got into my DoorDash. Luckily, I had no payment information on it because I never actually got to use it. Because when I signed up for it, I don't think anyone was actually selling with DoorDash. I get DoorDash ads all the time in Australia, so I thought if it's being advertised, I must be able to buy it or buy something from there, right? No. I think that's what it was, or I was looking at the prices and I was like, this isn't any better. So, I don't know. I don't remember. It was so many years ago, I think, that I made an account. And then I just never used it. And so I'm looking at my email and it's like, oh, we had to check your account because we had detected some unusual activity. And then the next email was, actually, your account's fine. You can go ahead and order whatever it is you wanted to order. That's cool. That's all good. And so I logged into my DoorDash. I managed to get a code on my email, I think. And then I couldn't change the password because it requires you to put the previous password, which I have a feeling that whoever was using the account probably changed it. And I don't even remember what I put as a password. I feel like that's the kind of thing that I would have done one of those auto-generated Google ones. The really secure ones. Maybe. I don't know. I'm actually gonna have to check because if that's a password I've used for something else. But I actually don't do that anymore. It's been a very long time since I actually used the same password for things. A very long time. Guys, if you want to be safe, have a different password for everything. And if it's too much to remember, you really need to just write it down on a piece of paper. Not just a random piece of paper, you know? Write it down in like a passwords book, you know? Pen and paper. That will never serve you wrong. No one's gonna hack your pen and paper. God, it sounds so old. Anyway, so if you're listening right now, dude, I have your name, I have your phone number, maybe your address. It was actually kind of confusing because the person who tried to use my account, they had a US phone number, but then they had a New South Wales address. So I don't really understand it. Yeah. I don't know. I saw they tried to order some like McDonald's. I think they were trying to get like a Big Mac or something. And I checked like the previous order history, no previous orders, payment details, no payment details at all. So actually it was smart of them to not do that. I'm about to fraudulently order some bitch a bunch of Krispy Kremes from their own account. Although it's my account. It's so weird. I don't even know. It's so odd. I'm really lucky that I didn't have any payment details on there. Like, I'm really lucky. And, you know, the thing is with these things, I usually, if I was going to pay with something, I'd probably pay with, like, PayPal. I don't like to put card details on anything. I hate card details. The only problem is that when you pay with PayPal, it takes, like, a few days to process, so it's a bit bleh, but it's better than putting your card details everywhere. And you know what? If I did have card details, I think they'd probably be expired or something. I don't know. But yeah, actually, one time when I was a teenager, my card expired, my bank card expired, and then I got an email from Amazon being like, payment failed. And I was like, wait, what? And then apparently I had been paying for Amazon Prime for like years somehow. I don't even know how I did that. I don't know. I don't know how I managed to do that. So my card failing was a blessing because I was able to unsubscribe from it. It was so good. So yeah, guys, you need to check your bank statements, you know? Because sometimes you have subscriptions to things and you're like, oh fuck. Like, I don't know. I've been really considering getting rid of Netflix. Really considering it. I never use it. It's just so bleh. I think I'm liking Binge a lot. Binge is like not a bad streaming service, I think. They've got all the stuff that I like on there. Yeah, I'm watching Fear the Walking Dead at the moment, and I was actually about to cry last night because it was a very sad episode. And you know what? It feels nice. It feels nice to be like watching something and to be like invested, to feel like I'm emotionally involved in it. That's amazing for me. I don't know. It just feels like it's been so long since I felt that way. It's been a long time since I was like really into something. And that feels nice because I think for a long time I I just haven't been invested in like TV shows, movies. I've spent so much of my time just I don't know, being such an anxious mess that I couldn't even sit down to watch a TV show. That's like how bad my anxiety was. I had to I had to be actively doing something, or I just couldn't watch. I couldn't be focused. So it's nice. It's a really nice change. And I've been doing yoga like every night. Like my routine is I go do yoga and I do it in front of the TV and I watch Fear the Walking Dead and I love it. Oh, and I put on a candle as well. I have this candle from DW Home. It's called Donut Shop. It is fantastic. It smells so sweet. I think I really like sweet candles. I mean, some people prefer like flowery ones or musky ones. I'm very sweet pilled. Same with like perfumes and stuff. I love sweet perfumes. I have such a sweet tooth as well. uh, and speaking of sweet tooth, oh my god, health update. I'm no longer drinking or doing any other recreational things. I am not drinking anymore. And I haven't drunk alcohol for, I think, oh, what's the date today? The 8th. Yeah, for like a month. I haven't drunk alcohol for like a month. That's crazy to me. Look, I never really considered myself much of like an alcoholic or someone with a problem. I know, it's like famous last words by alcoholic. um, but I never really had like a big issue with any anything, I suppose. I think what would happen is that if I was having a day where I wanted to play The Sims or something, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get a glass of wine, I'm gonna sit down and play The Sims, I'm gonna have a good time. And it does sound like a good time. Even now, it's like, oh, that does sound kind of pog, but I just found that alcohol was not really serving me in any positive way. Like, I found that if I was drinking, then I wouldn't get to do my exercise because I always exercise before bed. Um, yeah, like there would be no time to actually drink. So what I would do is I'd say to myself like, "Oh, man, I could use a drink today to wind down because it's been a stressful day." And then I would forget about it and then I'd be like brushing my teeth and go, "Oh, I forgot." And I'd be like, "Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow if I want to." So I haven't really had that problem where like I'm compulsively doing it, but I just think that since stopping it, like I've never had a period of my life where I stopped doing it. You know? You know what I'm saying? I never had a period of life where I didn't have some, I suppose. If that makes sense. So, oh yeah, and I think about like my high school years a lot in terms of like, oh, I was so different back then. And I think one of the big things is that I didn't drink. I, y'all, I never underage drinking, never done it. Never did it, never done did it. Even for my 18th birthday, I didn't drink. So I guess, yeah, I just kept thinking, like, I guess I never drank, and I was such a different person back then. Like, I think to myself, like, man, I had so much energy. I got up on time. I was a morning person. And yeah, I think that not drinking is the way I want to be. I think that's the kind of person I want to be because I just don't think it's serving my life anymore. I'm sure at a time it was like a fun thing to do and it still is a fun thing to do at times. I think I'll just limit it to if it's like a special day, you know. And I think I can do that pretty well. I will see if I have like a special day and I drink and then it makes me want to drink more, then I'll go, okay, clearly I can't do that. I don't think it's going to be like that, but I'm just trying to be aware of it, I suppose. You know? So I've kind of said to myself, like, if I'm not going to be drinking, then I'm just gonna have snacks. I'm gonna make sure that I have snacks that I can have. So whenever I'm like craving something like sugary, I'll be like, you know what? You have that snack, Catherine. You have that snack. Because I don't want to be like, oh, I'll treat myself with alcohol. Because alcohol is not a treat. Alcohol is terrible for you. It's horrible. Ugh. So I'm working on that, and I feel pretty good about that actually. I've had a lot more energy. I feel I just feel better. I have like my cup of tea when I feel like I need a drink of something. I have a little cup of tea, or I have a milk drink. I love that. I think partly I've been inspired by like Bobby Lee because I've been watching Bobby Lee's podcast with Andrew Santino, and hearing about like Bobby's sobriety and how he's so committed to it, I feel like that's super inspiring. I think that's a really cool thing because you're always surrounded by people who aren't like that and people who do things and they justify that they do so, like, I don't know, any kind of substances, right? Alcohol's a substance. And they justify it by being like, oh, we're just having fun, or it's just chill. We're chill like that, you know? I think watching Bobby talk about this stuff, it makes you be around something different for once. At least that's my experience. It's like finally in my life, I'm around something that's not having that opinion about it. And I think substances are just like no good. Maybe in like less quantity, but I just don't feel a desire to do it. I really don't. I don't feel like I need it, and I don't think I'm better off with it. And alcohol is so expensive here too. Like, if you think alcohol is expensive where you are, it's expensive here. I know everyone talks about Australia and how we're all alcoholics, and yeah, it's not great. The alcoholic culture here is horrible. I hate it. It's like, oh, it's so rampant too. Like, I was in the post office. I think I talked about this on like my first episode, actually my second, that there was like this thing in the post office where it was like, you're not an alcoholic if you don't start in the morning or something. But it's like, oh, I just can't even put into words how disgusting it is that there's something as weird as that in a post office, in a government post office. There's shit to promote alcoholism. It's like, what are we doing here? Let's cancel Australia Post. it's screwed up. It's actually screwed up because I always think like, if an alcoholic or recovering alcoholic, someone who's sober, comes in here, that's probably gonna trigger them. I know. Saying trigger, it's like triggers people, ironically, but it's true. It's like with I know someone's sobriety isn't other people's problem, or I know people shouldn't have to think about other people's sobriety because it is up to this sober person to stay sober and all that, but I just think it's just not necessary. It's not necessary for a post office to be promoting alcoholism or irresponsibleness, addiction costs society greatly in many ways. And I just think it's not even something to joke about. Like, in this current year, it's a really big problem. Any like substance use disorders, it's a really big problem. It costs a lot of people. It And I don't mean costs as in like just like monetarily. I think in like relationships, it breaks people apart. It's horrible. And I think that post offices should do better because, quite frankly, it is pathetic to be selling something like that. That's what I think. In my kindest opinion, it's pathetic and disgusting. So, I'm cancelling Australia Post. Oh no, that's actually the only postage people I can go with. Oh no. Fuck. Oh well, I wasn't sending letters anyway. Yeah, so I'm on my sobriety journey and I will be happy to report in, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. I've had so many drinks offered to me, like every single fucking day, and I always say, no, no thanks. And I kind of love that my go to response is no. Like, I don't even think about it. My automatic response is always just like, no thanks. And I like that. I think that's good. I think it's nice that I'm not like contemplating going, oh, should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? It's like, nope, because I just don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore, and maybe I will when it's a special occasion. But I think I'll keep it to that, and we'll see how it goes. You know, we're learning. You know, and I think I'd much rather be eating chocolate than drinking. I know both are not the greatest for you. Chocolate's not superb, but it's got to be better than drinking alcohol, right? Alcohol's like literal poison. Anyway, yay, sobriety journey, woohoo! Do not fly on planes right now if you can avoid it. I think we might have talked about this in the last one, and as I briefly mentioned earlier, another Boeing airplane, kind of, wow. Yeah. So like I said last time, where if we're in a recession, which I think we are, they just haven't given us the R word yet. Um, companies like airport companies, the mechanics, they cut corners. They don't want to spend as much money because they're not making as much money, even though they get so many breaks from the governments and shit like that. They're still going to cut corners and they're still going to fuck around because they can, right? They can just do that shit apparently, and apparently that's fine. So I would say, from what I've heard, don't fly on planes right now if you can avoid it, because I think the chances of like bad things happen, like we've been seeing so much happening lately, and it's no coincidence that it's happening during worldwide economic recession, I guess. Like no one's doing well. So, yeah, if you can avoid it, I would suggest don't fly. From my professional opinion as a professional scroller, I mean, if unless you have to really do it, don't do it. I mean, what's wrong with saying that, right? Sure, I'm not a professional. I don't know shit about nothing. But it makes sense to me. That logic makes sense to me because when you're in a recession, it's like everything goes downhill. You know, no one is safe. No one is safe. So I don't know. I'd say just be careful about it because that's really scary stuff. Oh yeah, the last thing, Sydney Sweeney's assets. Do we really need to talk about this? Like, look, Sydney Sweeney. Most of us know who Sydney Sweeney is, but in case you don't, she was on Euphoria, the TV show with all the other people, Zendaya. Zendaya. Sydney Sweeney was like the blonde, big boobed lady on Euphoria. Sorry, that is kind of just the way to tell her apart. I honestly don't remember anyone else in that. Oh yeah, there was the other chick, and then there was the other chick, and I don't remember. Anyway, Sydney Sweeney, her career has blown the F up. And me personally, I'm a fan of hers. I love her. I think she's cool. I think she's awesome. Um, there's a lot of talk about like the way her like branding is and how it's revolving around so much around her like looks, the way she looks, the way she appears, her boobs. That's a lot of the discourse around her. And a lot of people were likening her to Megan Fox, like when Megan Fox first started really getting up there. And I think even Margot Robbie has been referenced as well, and about how Megan and Margot had to do stuff to get rid of this image that they were just sex symbols, because they wanted to be seen as like real people, real people with talent. And a lot of people are saying that Sydney's gonna have to do the same thing because she is kind of at the moment the girl who just gets topless for movies and TV, I guess. Like even her movie Anyone But You, loved that movie. It was so fun. Yeah, she's topless in that one too for like 5 seconds. So I don't know what to think about that because I think, on one hand, I think God bless. We need to. I don't know if that's going to be doing anything for making boobs a lot more like. I don't know. I'm like trying to think like, is it bad? Is it good? Does it need to be decided? Well, I think it depends on like what she wants to do. On it, honestly, a lot of people saying she needs to do this, she needs to do that, she needs to change her image, she needs to do blah blah blah. And I think that maybe she doesn't want to avoid the same situation that Megan and Margot got into. Like I feel like she's probably either quite self-aware and she's leaning into it, or maybe she doesn't know what to do. I'm not really too sure about it, to be honest. There's no way to be sure about it unless she comes out and says something. But I'm gonna. I don't know. I just can't figure it out. Does she want to keep doing this, or does she? I don't know. But whichever way she swings with it, God bless her, love her. Um, I think that, yeah, if she wants to do that with herself, if she wants her appearance to be like her hallmark, you know, I feel like that's fine with me. Women should be allowed to choose that for themselves if they want to. And I think she's also very talented as an actor because uh she's doing so many things at the moment, and I want to see the horror movie she's in. I want to see it so badly. Oh, I've got to watch that because it sounds to me like it was a really good one. And if it's a really good horror movie that she's in, then she has just so much diversity with like what she can do. And I think that's very impressive. I think it's impressive to go from Euphoria to being like a mega movie star. And one thing that I'm getting a sense of is that she uses her looks to like get you in, and then she delivers with like a fantastic performance. And yeah, and then you just stay a Sydney Sweeney, a Sydney fan because she's just incredible. I think the only qualms I have with her is like the SNL thing she did, but I don't know. The SNL thing was really weird to me. Sorry. The SNL thing was really weird to me because I think I might have talked about it the other time I talked about her. But look, they got they had a skit where she's like a cheerleader. She's like a hot cheerleader, and then oh, they had a dog, a real dog, playing as like the quarterback, and then she's playing as though she's like in love with the dog, and then she's like trying to chat up the dog, and obviously the dog's just eating from like a bowl, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're so sexy." She's like, "Oh my god." Sorry, I'm drinking again. She's like, "Oh my god, you're just so alluring." Wow. And it was just really disturbing to watch because it's a friggin' dog. I don't understand why we had to get like skit where Sydney Sweeney. I didn't even understand what the joke was really. I think the joke was that she was going, "Oh, you're such a dog," and it's like an actual dog. I don't know. It wasn't very funny. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was SNL not being funny. It wasn't her fault. She didn't come up with it. SNL came up with it. They did my girl wrong. See, here I am. This is like the first person I've idolized such a long time. So I feel like I can trust Sydney. Sydney, I know you're watching, girl. I can trust you. You have done no wrong. 0 skeletons. Your closet is boneless. Dude, if anything ever came out about Sydney and like allegations of her being like a predator, I would just be like, can't trust nobody. But I can trust my girl. Alright. Well, we talked about Romeo and Juliet, several celebrity culture. Planes are bad. Alcohol, DoorDash. Oh yeah, wait. Another thing about the DoorDash thing is that I still can't believe that they literally said my account was safe when it so clearly was not. I can't believe it, honestly. Imagine if I was like a fucking 80-year-old. You know how like most DoorDashers are 80-year-old women who don't understand anything about computers? Yeah, that would have been me. And I would have read that email and been like, oh, it's fine. Oh, that's good. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I wasn't ordering a Big Mac, but I guess I will now. And then, yeah, we talked about Sydney Sweeney. My recommendation is don't use DoorDash, don't fly on planes, don't idolize celebrities, and don't get too invested in Romeo and Juliet, I guess. Alright, that'll wrap it up for today's podcast. Thank you for catching up with Kate, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about my strange situations. Anyway, I can't wait to see you next week. I will probably be doing the iPhone thing next week. I'm gonna have to figure out the logistics, but I have a whole week to figure it out, so hopefully I figure it out, which I'm sure I will. Alright. I will catch up with you next week. Goodbye.